Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so here we go again. The Democrats and their media lapdogs have latched on to the new big scandal, and so the whole Democrat media machine is working overtime to try to turn this into the smoking gun, into the big scandal that's going to take down the Trump administration. The Atlantic just dropped a bombshell piece claiming that the Trump administration, or rather a group chat that was being run by the Trump administration, supposedly accidentally included one of their journalists. They accidentally invited him to the group chat and spilled details about upcoming US military action in Yemen. And of course, the left is already foaming at the mouth, drawing absurd comparisons, and trying to pretend as if this is the worst thing to happen since Pearl Harbor, but it's really not. And yeah, I know the Democrats are going on and on about national security this and national security that, but obviously they're just trying to play a political strategy angle here. I want to talk about this Atlantic piece that Jeffrey Goldberg wrote. Let me give you guys my 2 cents. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright, so first off, I read the entire article, I went through all the text messages, and let's talk about what actually happened. So the Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg says that he somehow got added to a Signal group chat where key Trump administration officials were discussing Houthi attacks and upcoming military action in Yemen. He claims that he saw messages from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, DNI Tulsi Gabbard, and some others, and supposedly they were discussing the timing of the strikes, weapons packages, and messaging strategy. Somehow Goldberg got in this chat, we don't know exactly how just yet. Inconveniently for him, of course, he stayed in the chat, took screenshots, and waited to see if the airstrikes actually happened, and when they did, he published this piece painting the Trump administration as reckless and irresponsible. Now, it's hard to say exactly what happened here. Was this a deliberate ploy from the Trump administration, knowing that Jeffrey Goldberg would run this big piece, and then their messaging about Europe and Egypt would then get amplified 100 times, or was it just a careless mistake? Honestly, it's hard to say, but as of right now, I'd say it's actually looking like it might have just been an accident. Pete Hegseth actually faced the press and he was directly asked about the issue, and while I'd say his reaction is a little bit telling,
information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in the Atlantic, and were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used, and
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Right,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's it.
The NSC said it was authentic.
yeah, that right there was a non-answer. And if we're being absolutely fair here, whether we like the Trump administration or not, clearly he doesn't want to talk about it, and he completely deflected the question by initially calling into question Jeffrey Goldberg's character, which is, certainly accurate. He is quite the scoundrel. But then just going on praising the Trump administration and the military operation that they conducted rather than addressing the actual group chat scandal, I think his response kind of does suggest that this likely was just a dumb mistake. Someone somewhere might have hit the wrong button and somehow added a journalist to a high-level chat. At least that's one speculation. Again, without an actual investigation, we simply don't know what actually happened, who invited him. So it's really hard to draw any conclusions at this point. But anyways, it happened. And is it embarrassing? Yes. Is it a national security disaster, as the Democrats are suggesting? Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. From what I've seen reading all the messages, this wasn't war planning. War planning isn't happening on Signal. Seems more like they were deliberating and discussing the broader process of restoring security in the shipping lanes and signaling their discontent with European military inaction. Was there information in there that probably shouldn't have been shared? Probably. But was it some kind of earth-shattering security breach? Absolutely not. But if you listen to the Democrats, that's essentially what they're suggesting. And in my view, they're completely out of line as they're trying to turn this into something that it is clearly not. And the left is now desperately trying to tie this to the Hillary Clinton server scandal and Joe Biden's classified document mess. They're calling out Republicans saying, oh, you were outraged over the Hillary Clinton emails and Joe Biden's stealing of classified documents. But now here you are silent on this leaking of the group chat. But come on, I mean, this isn't even in the same ballpark. Hillary intentionally set up an illegal private email server to hide government documents from FOIA requests and congressional oversight. She deleted over 33,000 emails after they were subpoenaed. She knowingly exposed classified intel to foreign adversaries. That's not an accident. That's willfully breaking the law, and that's also a cover-up. Meanwhile, Biden, on the other end, hoarded classified documents for decades. Going all the way back to his time in the Senate, he had classified files stashed in his garage next to his frickin' Corvette. There was absolutely no legitimate reason for him to be holding them. And again, what he did was deliberate. But this Trump scandal, on the other hand, based on what we know right now, based on what's being presented to us, seems more likely to be just an operational blunder. There's no proof that classified intelligence was shared, and most of what was said was surface-level discussions. No grand war plans, no intelligence leaks, just messaging strategy and logistical planning. And so again, if anybody looks like complete hypocrites here, it's the Democrats. Because when their politicians engage in actual, purposeful, malicious, horrible behavior, they're frickin' silent, but now they want to make a big deal about this one. And not to mention, they're jumping to conclusions again. The real question that nobody seems to be asking is, how the hell did Jeffrey Goldberg get in this chat? You know, basically what they're telling us is the Trump administration accidentally added a mainstream journalist to a top-level national security conversation. It was just an accident and nobody noticed it for days? You know, I'm not saying anything, I'm just suggesting that maybe there's more to the story. And even if it was an accident, why did Jeffrey Goldberg not immediately notify the officials that he was there by mistake? He didn't remove himself until after the bombing happened. He took screenshots and then published the entire thing instead of doing the responsible thing, which would have been alerting the administration. But again, going back to the initial point, the question is, how did he get in there? We don't know, but usually there's some sort of digital log. We should be able, through digital forensic investigation, to actually audit the logs and see who invited him and how that even happened in the first place. And so before you jump to conclusions, Democrats, maybe wait for all the facts first. There needs to be an actual investigation to determine who added Goldberg, why he was in the chat, but Democrats clearly aren't interested in the truth. They just want to run another bogus Trump scandal, blow it completely out of proportion, and push all of this fake outrage, pretending as if this is a Watergate-level scandal, but it's not. The left is just grasping at straws, and just like every other fake scandal that they've tried to push, it's likely going to end up blowing over or blowing up in their face. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. That's my initial reaction. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.